Tonight on the Commanders Report, the Washington Commanders released their Week 1 depth chart and some very interesting things to be taken away from there. Then we'll get into the Kendrick Bourne visit that happened today in Ashburn, Virginia at the Commanders facility. I'll let you guys know the very latest surrounding Kendrick Bourne and his decision between the San Francisco 49ers and your Washington Commanders. Before we get into the news and rumors of the day here, make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already to join the most interactive Commanders fan community anywhere on YouTube. We put out daily videos for free for you guys on this channel surrounding the Washington Commanders. We also go live for every single Commanders game on our live watch parties. And then tomorrow we'll be going live for our weekly live show starting at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So if you guys want to click that subscribe button, we'll have another video for you guys tomorrow. So if you don't want to miss any action during the 2025 season, click that subscribe button and join the Commanders Report family today. So now let's talk here about the unofficial depth chart that was released by the Washington Commanders today, and there's definitely some interesting things to take away from this depth chart. All right, so the first one that's really turning some heads here is that Jacory Croskey-Merritt here is listed as the number 4 running back heading into the year. Now, we've been talking pretty extensively on this channel that, the team getting rid of B-Rob and all those different things, and JCM not playing in the final preseason game versus the Baltimore Ravens. All those things were signs that Bill was going to be elevated on the depth chart, and he's going to be a starter heading into the year. But according to the depth chart right now, and keep in mind it is an unofficial depth chart, but this is the running back order as it's stated by the team right now. Austin Ekeler is the number 1 running back, followed by Jerry McNichols, Chris Rodriguez Jr., and then Bill Croskey-Merritt is all the way down at number 4. But like I said, guys, keep in mind that this is an unofficial depth chart. This is not put together necessarily by Dan Quinn and the Commanders coaching staff. This is just something that the team and, the social media crew that they put together. So it's very possible here that they're just seeing, Jacory Croskey-Merritt, 7th round pick. Of course, he's going to be RB4. But the team has really been centering a lot of their content and a lot of their strategy on social media surrounding Bill Croskey-Merritt. They had their own separate graphic for the number change for him, going from number 32 to number 22. And they also held him out of the final preseason game versus the Ravens, I think, for a reason. Like, if he was your number 4 running back, you would think that he would play, unless he was dealing with some sort of injury, which is possible, I guess. But they held out Jalen Lane as well, another rookie that they're expecting to play a key role as a punt returner this year for the Washington Commanders on special teams. So I think once we get to the field on Sunday, we're going to figure out just how much of a role Jacory Croskey-Merritt is going to have, at least to start the season. But if you're freaking out right now that you drafted Jacory in your fantasy leagues or whatever, and he's listed as RB4, I think this might be a situation where he may even get more carries and more run as the season goes on. But the Commanders are very high on Jacory Bill Croskey-Merritt, whatever you guys want to call him. He had a really good preseason, had a really good training camp. All the signs are there that by the end of the season, he is going to be this team's number 1 running back. We'll see where he starts to begin the season. But I think, we might get to Sunday, and he might be taking number 1 running back carries. Remember, guys, this was an unofficial depth chart. So let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Who's going to be the leading rusher for the Washington Commanders here in Week 1 versus the New York Football Giants? Give me an AE for Austin Ekeler, JCM for Jacory Croskey-Merritt, or if you think it's someone else, if you think Jaden Daniels or Deebo Samuel or Chris Rodriguez Jr. or somebody else leads this team in rushing Week 1, type SE for someone else. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So in just a second here, I'm going to tell you about our sponsor today at PrizePicks. And while I'm talking about PrizePicks today, let me know who you think is going to be the leading rusher for the Washington Commanders here in the season opener. With that, let's have a word from our sponsor today at PrizePicks. And guys, you and I, we both make decisions every day. But on PrizePicks, being right with those decisions on their app can actually get you paid this football season. Don't miss any of the excitement this year on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. This week, it's Week 1, and you better believe I'll be getting my PrizePicks lineups in for the season opener on Thursday all the way through Monday Night Football. PrizePicks is simple to play. Just pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and if you get your picks right, you could cash in. PrizePicks also puts their users first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. PrizePicks also offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. And a new feature from PrizePicks that I love is injury reboots. If one of your players leaves the game in the first half and doesn't return, PrizePicks won't count it as a loss. Now, let's take a look here at my PrizePicks projection for the season opener, Cowboys versus Eagles, two teams that we hate here on the Commanders Report on Thursday night. I'm going to take the more, pretty much free play on Dak Prescott passing yards there. He just has to get more than a half yard for that one to hit. I'm taking the more on George Pickens receiving yards. I'm going to take the less on Jalen Hurts passing yards and the more on Saquon Barkley rushing yards. You guys can download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup on the PrizePicks app today. It's free to download, by the way, guys. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup with PrizePicks today. PrizePicks, it sure is good to be right. All right, so now let's talk here about my second takeaway from this depth chart, which is that Josh Conerly Jr., the first-round pick out of Oregon, will be starting at right tackle, at least according to this unofficial depth chart that, again, is not put out by the Commanders coaching staff. But if they're putting him there at starting right tackle, something tells me that they have some sort of word there that he is going to be out there instead of Andrew Wylie as the starting right tackle when this team plays the New York Giants this week. So, I think that this is something that's a really good sign. If this coaching staff has enough trust in Josh Conerly Jr. over somebody in Andrew Wylie, who's been the starting right tackle here in Washington for multiple seasons at this point, that tells us that they believe in his development. I think he looked pretty darn good on tape during the preseason. We talked about this on the show here quite a bit over the last several weeks. But, something that's very interesting to me here is he's going to be going up against Abdul Carter, who is another rookie. So it's going to be a rookie-on-rookie matchup there on that side of the offensive line. Carter went up against Josh Conerly Jr. actually in the Big Ten championship game last year in Indianapolis. Of course, Conerly was playing left tackle, not right tackle in that game, and Carter was rushing from the opposite end. So this is going to be a new experience for both of these guys. Conerly making his first start at right tackle, especially in the National Football League, but it's definitely a new position for him. And then Abdul Carter, even though he did rush from both sides of the line, depending on matchups last year, you take a look at that Big Ten title game grades according to Pro Football Focus last year. Josh Conerly Jr. didn't give up a sack to Abdul Carter in that football game. He did give up a few pressures, and Carter certainly got his wins in there. But I thought Conerly, compared to some of the other college tackles that went up against Abdul Carter last year, during the college football season, he definitely held his own. So I'm very excited to see how the young right tackle here for the Commanders holds up against Abdul Carter, who's had a hell of a preseason and training camp there in New York. And then because Josh Conerly is listed as the starting right tackle, that means Andrew Wylie is listed as a backup, but he's not even listed as the backup right tackle. He's actually listed as the backup right guard, not left guard there, behind Nick Allegretti. Sorry for the typo there. But Andrew Wylie, I do think probably will be the backup right tackle, but he's also the backup right guard. They just needed somewhere, guys, to put Trent Scott on the graphic, and they didn't want to double stack when they didn't have that many people on the 53-man roster. So even though Andrew Wylie is listed as the backup right guard behind Nick Allegretti, at least right now, I do think if Josh Conerly Jr., God forbid, goes down with an injury in Sunday's game, I do think Wylie would be the guy first off the bench to help out the Commanders' offensive line in that case. And then the final takeaway that I have from this depth chart, guys, is Trey Amos has officially earned the CB2 job, at least according to this unofficial depth chart. And, this has been consistent throughout training camp. I just want to give a little bit of congratulations to the rookie out of Ole Miss, who I think absolutely earned this designation. Jonathan Jones has been a starting corner in this league for a long time. Amos was not just going to be given the job no matter how he played during the offseason program, during training camp, during the preseason. And I think through every single step of the way, Amos has earned this opportunity. And now it's time to shine. It's time to go out there, go up against probably Darius Slayton on the outside here, week one versus the New York Giants, with Lattimore likely shadowing Malik Neighbors. And, time to go out there and play some damn good football, man. I think he's going to be a hell of a CB2 for this team. This was a huge weakness with this defense last year. I think with a guy like Amos coming in, who had really good film from Ole Miss last season in college, I'm really excited to see what this new cornerback trio is going to be able to do here. Marshawn Lattimore is back fully healthy. Amos is a really promising rookie on the outside and a really good number 2, I think, is what he's going to be this year. And then Mike Sainristil has a chance to be one of the most dynamic slot defenders in the National Football League this year as well. So really excited to see what this cornerback trio is going to be able to do here, guys. So make sure you guys get down there. Click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. If you want to help the Commanders secure a win on Sunday, do not jinx it. Don't be the guy that doesn't click that thumbs up icon and then the Commanders get upset on Sunday, all right? So if you want to help out the channel, you want to help out the Commanders win against the New York Football Giants, click that thumbs up icon so you don't have to worry about it. All right, so today, a wide receiver, Kendrick Bourne, visited the Washington Commanders in Ashburn, Virginia at their training facility. And obviously, Bourne has some connections to Adam Peters, the Commanders GM here, with his time in San Francisco. Now, we also visited the San Francisco 49ers on Monday, but he's 30 years old. He brings some good size to the table, 6'1", 205 pounds. He can run block, very savvy route runner. He's got solid hands. You know, he's not the most dynamic receiver threat, and he really never was, but he's a solid veteran. That's a good depth piece, and I think that you could certainly look at this Commanders wide receiver room and say the Washington Commanders need some depth at the wide receiver position. But yeah, he does have those ties with Adam Peters going back to his San Francisco days. You know, the people in San Francisco back in the day especially love this guy because of the depth and veteran leadership that he brings to the wide receiver room. Of course, he was just released by the New England Patriots, so definitely something to keep your eye on here, see if we get some breaking news in the coming days and hours. But, you know, you got Kendrick Bourne, who's been a pretty efficient receiver throughout his time in the National Football League. Back in 2021 with the Niners, 800 yards that season. Now, obviously, since then, he hasn't been able to crack 500. Just last year, just over 300 yards with the New England Patriots in 12 games. He's had difficulty staying on the field as well and maintaining a starting position. So he's certainly a savvy wide receiver depth veteran at this point in his NFL journey, and I certainly wouldn't mind adding him, you know, in case like a Noah Brown injury continues to linger, or if Deebo Samuel gets injured, or, you know, whatever the case may be. Kendrick Bourne is somebody with a lot of veteran experience that can, you know, plug and play for at least a couple of weeks as quality depth. Right now, you take a look at the wide receiver depth chart. Noah Brown has been dealing with an injury pretty much all training camp, and that he suffered back, I believe it was during minicamp. And then you got Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel, obviously, as your top two guys. But then after that, you know, if somebody goes down with an injury, do you really trust Luke McCaffrey to go in there and be a starting wide receiver on a win-now team? Do you really trust rookie Jalen Lane, who's undersized? I don't know if I would answer those questions affirmatively, but with a guy like Kendrick Bourne as a number 4 guy, I could certainly see him, you know, coming in for a couple of weeks as a wide receiver 3 if one of these guys goes down with an injury and being serviceable. So we did get a report from Matt Mayoko from NBC Sports. I think Bay Area there is what it's called, that Kendrick Bourne did get a formal offer from the San Francisco 49ers. So the Niners are, in fact, trying to sign him actively right now. We'll see if the medical situation checks out here in Washington and whether or not they give him an offer. Really, what I think it's going to boil down to, guys, is the opportunity to play. With all the injuries there in San Francisco, I would maybe say Bourne, or they're the favorite over Washington. At least he took the visit here with Adam Peters, his old assistant GM here in Washington, but I do think San Francisco is probably the favorite to get him before we get to week 1 on Sunday. All right, so make sure you guys click that subscribe button, though, because if we do get breaking news and Kendrick Bourne is a Washington Commander, we're going to get you guys a video when that news comes down the pike. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button and finish out today's show by answering this question. Who's going to get Kendrick Bourne? Type WAS if you think the Commanders get him, or type SF if you think San Francisco lands him. I think because he has more connections to the 49ers organization than he does to the Commanders, plus maybe more of an opportunity to play right away, or at least in the first 4 weeks, with Brandon Ayuk dealing with injuries and a bunch of other players on their roster dealing with injuries right now. I think he goes to San Francisco, but let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. That'll be it for me today here on the Commanders Report, guys. We'll be back tomorrow with our Commanders Report live show starting at 5 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow evening. So if you guys want to stop by, talk some Commanders ball with us, we'll be here 5 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Until then, guys, hail to the Commanders.